Elon Musk said the Neuralink will be available for pretty much anybody to buy within 5 to 10 years. And furthermore, Ray Kurzweil said he expects man and machine to begin to merge in the 2030s. I'm aware that this is a topic that can be pretty scary for some people, but I want to introduce a way of looking at artificial intelligence that might be a little bit different than you might have looked at it before, or many of you might already accept this ideology. But the way I look at artificial intelligence isn't as a replacement for humans. Yes, it is a replacement for the burden of undesirable labor or jobs or modern day slavery in many people's eyes, but it actually gives us better capabilities. It gives us more autonomy on an individual level. This technology gives us, each and every single one of us, the ability to be self-sustainable, to be reliant on ourselves only and not have to have any type of other entity keeping us alive. Like the economy is something that we rely on heavily because we trade and barter for resources and food in the economy. I do think we will have a form of an economy in the future because we won't have infinite amount of resources. You need some form of rationing whenever you don't have an infinite amount of resources because infinite resources don't exist to us. But what we will have is more autonomy and more capabilities to be self-sustaining whenever we have increased intelligence systems to help us survive. AI isn't a replacement for humans, it enables humans. It gives us higher capabilities, higher levels of intelligence, better ways of completing labor and tasks. The way to look at artificial intelligence isn't as a technology that is replacing us, just like automation or other industrial revolutions have in the past. This is more so an evolutionary type of technology. If you look at the evolved biological mechanisms of different organisms as we've gone through evolutionary processes of millions, if not billions of years, we evolve different characteristics and different traits such as intelligence. Intelligence is an evolved mechanism that gives us the ability to manipulate the world around us, understand and manipulate matter, which is exactly how we created artificial intelligence. Basically, we got sand, smelted it, and made it think. Obviously, it wasn't that simple. There's a complicated process in there. But the point is, we have the ability to build tools that enable us to do better things. If you look at the evolutionary track record of all of the organisms that have existed before us, considering the Neanderthal, for example, we are changing much slower than the Neanderthal. The Neanderthal only existed for about a couple 100,000 years, and so have we. We have existed for about a couple 100,000 years. We're kind of coming to this timeline, this approach where technology is kind of the next step in our evolutionary process, is something that I believe. I don't think we are necessarily going to evolve in the biological sense that we have seen so far throughout the universe, where the gene expressions and all of these different things change and it causes us to change. I don't think that's necessarily going to be the way we evolve in the future. I think the way we evolve in the future is by deciding what we will become. Like Max Tegmark says in Life 3.0, we will have the ability to manipulate our hardware and our software. Fundamentally, at the end of the day, we build artificial intelligence to have artificial intelligence build us. I think this is purely just an evolutionary process. Like, the reason we are intelligent enough to create technology is so that the technology can increase our capabilities and help us evolve. And I think rejecting technology is akin to joining the Neanderthal. If you were to reject the technological change altogether and not adapt to it, you're basically not adapting to the environment or not adapting to the universe. Therefore, natural selection won't select the thing that doesn't adapt. It selects the thing that does adapt. So again, if we view intelligence as an evolved biological mechanism of evolution to help us predict, understand, and manipulate the world around us better, whenever we increase our intelligence through technology, it is in a form of evolution. The way I like to look at it is throughout all of evolutionary biology, from water to land and now going to space, we as creatures have always adapted different senses or evolved different biological mechanisms to help us travel within the realm that we were in. Whenever we were in water, we started out as single cellular organisms and then evolved into some form of fish. And we get onto land and we evolve into something with lungs and legs. And then whenever we go out into space, we'll probably evolve into something completely different. It'll probably be in the form of silicon, if you were to ask me. I think technology is a natural process of evolution where this technology evolves us. We become a form of silicon so that we can actually be in space. Because right now, if we go to space, we're basically committing suicide. We're not quite ready to go to space full time. But the Mars project with Elon Musk and AI are kind of converging here all at the same time. This is a natural form of evolution, if you were to ask me. I think we are going to be almost completely silicon on the other side of this, me and you, both of us. If you play capitalism out to the logical extreme, everything becomes capital, not in the form of money, but in the form of hardware. The way I look at this is almost like a continuum. On one side, we have an organism that is 100% biological, and on the other side, we have an organism that is still conscious, or not an organism, but you have a system that is completely conscious, but is not biological. This one is a system that is conscious and biological. This is a system that is conscious and not biological. They both do the same exact thing. One could even argue that this one has greater levels of senses, greater levels of being, higher levels of consciousness, better emotions. We don't know what is actually physically possible within different substrates. It could totally be just harnessing the same types of computation within a different substrate that we would in biology into a different silicon or different type of substrate, and it would be the same exact thing. And this actually goes with Stephen Wolfram's theory of computational equivalence. But again, coming back to the continuum here, it goes from a continuum of pure biological substrate to pure not biological substrate, to say the least. And we are like already going down this continuum. We already have these Internet of Thing like devices like the cell phone, for example, or smartwatches, or now we're creating augmented reality glasses, and we're inventing the Neuralink to plug into people's head and augment their intelligence and increase their intelligence. And I would bet that we can actually achieve some form of mind uploading in the future, or figure out a different way to hack the physical matter that makes up our body and evolve it so that we can actually go into outer space full time, or evolve it to go to a different planet and be able to survive there on the way to the planet while we're in the spaceship. All of these things are physically possible. It just now is what technologies can we create to actually cause the effect. The next step for us, however, is the brain-computer interface, where we have a computer chip basically, that plugs into your brain, and there's probably a neural network on there or on some cloud device where you're pretty much connecting a different brain to your own brain, and now your brain merges with that brain and you're basically one whole new different intelligence. If you study the conjoined twins, or the Hogan twins, for example, or you study how the two hemispheres of the brain interact with each other, whenever you split the hemispheres of the brains apart, the consciousness of the person is still there. They'll act differently, but they will still be alive. They'll still be a conscious human being. They'll just be completely different. There's an example where there is a patient that has schizophrenia. They took one part of the hemisphere apart, and the schizophrenia went away. They just had this one hemisphere of the brain operating, and they were a completely happy person. They put the brain back together. They had schizophrenia again. So these are just interesting things to think about whenever we actually have a brain-computer interface. Like, imagine 2 cups of water. This cup has water, and this cup has water. The water is separate whenever they're not connected, but whenever you connect them, all of the water merges together. You could kind of think about the same thing in the terms of consciousness or intelligence. Whenever you combine 2 neural networks, it doesn't just have a neural network attached to a different neural network. They become one neural network. Your intelligence and your levels of awareness physically change. It's kind of like whenever you're a 5-year-old versus what you are now, you have more neurons and synapses now compared to whenever you were 5. And now you're far more mature than you ever have been. basically what I'm saying, and a lot of the people within the AI space that believe in the singularity and believe in merging with machines, what we are all saying is we are still five. Basically, we need to go through this evolutionary process to be able to do something such as create an interstellar civilization or something like that. And if you were to ask me, I am willing to bet this is a normal process of evolution. Like if there are other advanced alien civilizations out there, let's say the zoo hypothesis is true, and they're studying us and watching us evolve, they probably went through a similar phase where they evolved themselves with technology because the matter that they were forming with whenever they were first started as life wasn't resilient enough to actually survive in the cosmos. Again, that could be completely bullshit, but this is something that I wouldn't be surprised if we were to find intelligent life besides us one day. I wouldn't be surprised if they have some form of technology that harnesses the laws of physics, making up part of their being. So in a way, you can look at this evolutionary process as we are becoming one of those advanced civilizations. We are almost becoming aliens in a sense compared to what we were before. If we were to find another civilization or an alien civilization and we went through a similar process, are we really that different from each other? Sure, they might look different and behave different and have different cultures, but are we really that different if we are all just organisms that started as an organism and we merged with some form of technology that we created to forcibly evolve ourselves and be able to explore the cosmos? I think we're kind of the same thing. Just to end this video off, I want to give you a frame of thinking whenever approaching problems or just approaching any situation that I am using for the next century or so. The way I look at problems in the world, or the way I look at how my behavior should be whenever I'm operating, I assume that the zoo hypothesis is true. Let's say there's an advanced alien civilization out there looking at us and not interfering with us purposefully, intentionally, because they don't want to scare us, for example. And they're studying us and they're judging each and every one of us as humans, as individuals, and they're saying, which guy is accelerating their technology to end up where we are the best and doing it the correct way? Who is doing it right? Like, which one of these humans are doing it the right way? I would say the only person on that measuring stick right now is Elon Musk. Elon Musk is the only person on that measuring stick right now. So the frame of mind that I'm approaching these next few decades with, and potentially the next century, as we start to increase our intelligence and have better AI, is if there is an advanced alien civilization looking down at us and judging us, how can I allocate my resources, allocate my efforts for the aliens to say, he's doing it right? Like, basically, if us in the 25th century, this is the one that Brian Johnson uses. This is one that's easier for people to grasp. I like the aliens one because I hope we find aliens one day. But the one that's probably easiest for most people to grasp is humans in the 25th century. If they were to look back in time and they said, that guy is doing it right, who would they say is doing it right? It's probably like Brian Johnson and Elon Musk. And probably some other people like Guillaume Verdon, or people building AI or the next paradigm of computing, or working on like biotech or something like that. But it's going to be those people. And with the advent of artificial intelligence increasing our capabilities, it actually lowers the barrier to entry in things such as deep tech or hardware, or just anything that would originally be impossibly hard for humans to do. Or not impossibly hard because people didn't, but for average people that didn't study those things to do. It actually lowers that barrier and gives you access to PhDs who know how to complete those things. So instead of you just saying, oh, I don't have a CTO to help me start my company, you actually do now. You have a CTO that is just as good as any other CTO in your back pocket. It can tell you exactly how to build whatever product you want to build because it has all the information in there. And if you can prompt it accordingly, it knows how to put it together. It has relative reasoning. For example, it can have new thoughts or novel thoughts on things that it has adjacent information of, just like you or I. So that's just one thing I wanted to put out there. That's the way I'm approaching the next few decades to century. And I think other people should be approaching life the same way, because the capabilities that we have today are going to be drastically improved from this year to next year to the year after, we are going to be able to do some very impressive things, or not impressive things. Each and every single one of us can do very, very, very impressive things in the very near future. So remove your limiting beliefs, trust the technology, and kind of have almost like a leap of faith into the technology and say, this is so powerful. It's going to augment our capabilities and our intelligence to the point where any of us can do these incredibly hard things. So why not just start understanding those incredibly hard things now, learning those things now, and allocating myself to being useful in the future. That being said, that about wraps up this video. I hope you found it enjoying. I'll see you guys in the next one.